What's up guys, it's LDJ Writes and welcome back to my writing channel. Today I'm going to be filming my first vlog and yeah, let's get into it. If you guys don't know, I'm a fantasy and science fiction writer and I'm also a creative writing student. For the past 10 years I've been working on a project which has consisted of multiple books and multiple series, but they're all a part of one large singular project called the Eternal Keyverse. And yeah, most recently I've been starting to feel a little burnt out on this project and July is around the corner, so I thought, why don't I start a brand new project? This sounds like a great idea, doesn't it? It's not a great idea. And let me tell you why it's not a great idea. Back in May, I started work on the 5th and final book in my fantasy series, the Eldenarian Artifacts. And I got about 7 chapters in and then I hit a wall, which is not uncommon for me, but yeah, when I hit the wall, it takes me a decent amount of time to climb over it and get back where I was. But since July is coming around the corner and I've seen a couple of Camp NaNoWriMo videos on YouTube, I thought, why don't I start a new project to try and take my mind off my current project and try and spark some new ideas and work on something new for a month. So yeah, that's what I decided I'm gonna do. So if you guys don't know what Camp NaNoWriMo is, it's basically the baby version of National Novel Writing Month, which takes place in November. And basically it's just like a competition with yourself really, but you can join a cabin and do it with other people, but you can really just do it by yourself and you challenge yourself to try and write 50,000 words in a month. But the difference with Camp NaNoWriMo is that you kind of just set whatever goal you want for yourself, whether that's write 5,000 words or write 10,000 words. You really set whatever goal you want for yourself and you try to complete it in the month of July. I've only participated in camp and the actual NaNoWriMo one time. Not one time, I've done it like maybe once or twice, and I did actually complete camp once, but I've never done the 50,000 word goal. If you've actually completed that, let me know in the comments because I need to know your tips and tricks on how to write 50,000 words in 1 month because that's absolutely insane to me. But yeah, that's basically what Camp NaNoWriMo is, and NaNoWriMo, if you had never heard of it, now you have. And yeah, I already have an idea for what project I want to do. I came up with the idea for this, I want to say 2 years ago. And yeah, 2 years ago because it's directly inspired by the Batman movie by Matt Reeves with Robert Pattinson. And also it's inspired by the movie Seven with Brad Pitt and Morgan Freeman. I'm sure some of you guys have heard of it. It's got the iconic moment with Brad Pitt finding his wife's head in the box. I think it's Kevin Spacey, I think. Kevin Spacey is the villain in that, or it's, I can't think of the actor's name, but he played Ultron in the Marvel movies. That guy. That's what the main inspiration for this project I'm working on. The working title for it is called Court of Rooks. It's a murder mystery type story told in the point of view of a detective, a disgraced detective actually. So he's got a bit of an edge to him. He's like a morally gray character despite being in a position where you generally think detectives are supposed to be the good guys. Murder has been going on in his city and the murderer is actually trying to expose the corruption that's in the city, who my main character happens to be a pretty large part of, and he basically just has to try and get down to who's committing these murders and stop them before all the city's darkest, deepest secrets get out, including his own. So yeah, that's what Court of Rooks is about. It's very chess themed because recently I've been getting back into chess. I've been playing chess for years, but I took a long break like after high school. But a couple years ago, my mom got me a custom-made chessboard that I got from Afghanistan, so that's pretty cool. I've been playing on that sometimes. I play online, so I kind of wanted to inject that into the plot and into my main character, so yeah. Okay, so this is my Google Doc for the entire Eternal Keyverse world that I'm building. As you can see, it has a bunch of folders, and yeah, okay, I'm trying to get that straight. Okay, but the folder that we want to go into is that I've made before is called A Game of Chess, which I am incapable of making a single book idea. It seems like everything has to be a series, so I have plans to turn this into a series, but like the first book completely works as a standalone. Who knows if it actually does, and because I've not even started writing it yet. But yeah, I have a decent amount. Like, I created my own city for this. Let's see. Yeah, this is Black River. Yeah, there's the 9 districts. There's Old Town, Downtown. Let's see. Yeah, Old Town's down here. Downtown's actually up. I don't know if any of my urban planners out there can tell me if that's like correct to do, put downtown in the middle of the city, but yeah, that's what I did. Angels Crossing to the left across the river that doesn't have a name yet. There's Silver Gardens. There's the Dock District, and then that's Red Wharf. Red Wharf is different from the Dock District. The Dock District is over here. Then there's Seven Crowns, which is the 7th district, and then there's the Knot, which is in between 4 different districts, 5 actually, and that's why it's called the Knot, because it's like it knotted up between all the other districts. And then last but not least, we've got Shadow Park, which is where my main character is from, and it's also where the chess courts that he frequents are located. And yeah, it's a pretty important part of the story, even though it's one of the lesser populated. Not really, it's on the peripheral of the city, you would say. It's like on the outside, not very big, not much going on there. But yeah, this is my map of Black River. This is where the story is going to be taking place. And when it comes to like developing cities and places for the projects that I work on, because I've come up with a lot of places, I kind of like making the setting its own character, if that makes sense. Because like this is exactly where like my inspiration from the Batman came from, or like how the Batman influenced me, because Gotham in itself is its own character. Like, I didn't really feel that way in the Dark Knight movies, but like specifically in Matt Reeves's The Batman, Gotham felt like its own character. Like, it felt alive. It felt like it had its own vibe, its own things going on that we didn't, like us as viewers didn't necessarily see on screen, but like you could just kind of tell things were happening. And that's kind of the same vibe I want Black River to have in my story. So yeah, that's kind of why I went so in depth with this map and like coming up with all the districts and like how they play into the larger story and how certain districts relate to certain characters. Like, I haven't gone into full depth about all that stuff because it would kind of give away the murder plot, but yeah, I fully intend for Black River to be like its own character, like almost like a main character in a way, because that's where the entire story takes place. Alright, so that was Black River. That's where my story, Court of Rooks, is going to be taking place. And now that I've gone through the setting, which is a major part of the story, I'm going to describe my main character just a little bit, because even I don't know too much about him, but I do know like the important parts, which is his name is Detective Dominic Alter. His first name is not Detective, by the way. That's just his role. He is a detective at Black River Police Department. His name is Dominic Alter, and he is about late 30s, early 40s. His age is important because he's supposed to be like a grizzled veteran of the police force. He's like one of the older members on the team. He's seen a lot. He's done a lot of things he's definitely not proud of, but like the city's kind of Gotham-esque in the way that the more time you spend there, the kind of worse person you become. So that's kind of like one of the main things I want to dive into, is like how your environment just kind of really changes your core if you let it. So yeah, that's Dominic Alter. He's really pessimistic, kind of dark, doesn't talk much, but he's very intelligent, very calculating. He kind of struggles with his emotions. He really struggles to relate to people, which makes him come off kind of rude and cold just because he doesn't know how to talk to people. He knows how to talk to evidence, if that makes sense. Like, he spends more time in the morgue than with other people, which is very sad, but like that's what I think makes him interesting. But yeah, that's Dominic Alter. The next thing I wanted to do is, while I do have a rough outline for like the story and like what I want to do, it's very rough. Like, it's very broad. It just goes over like the main ideas and the main scenes that I want to include. If I want to start writing, I need a more like refined chapter by chapter outline, because otherwise I just get lost or I forget to put something in, and then when it comes to editing I have to like make wholesale changes. And this time around I don't want to do that. I want to try and get as much written in July as I can, because after July I'm probably going to shift back to my other project. To help me with this, another writer tuber by the name of Brielle Writes actually made her own beat sheet template. I'm gonna include a link to the template that she shared with her viewers, And I'm gonna link her channel in the description so you guys can go check her out. She's a great creator. She's one of the reasons why I even started making videos in the first place. But yeah, I'm gonna be using her beat sheet template to kind of help me flesh out my plot a little bit, make sure the pacing's right, make sure I have all the scenes that need to be included, because this is my first time writing like a mystery thriller type thing. Like a lot of my books kind of have like mystery elements, but like this is kind of the whole point of the book, is the whole to find out who the killer is and why stuff's happening and stuff like that. So I need to make sure I get it right. So I'm gonna fill this out and then I'll come back to you guys and go over what I did. I'll see you guys in a bit. Back. You guys probably can't tell, but I am filming this part 2 days after I left you guys, so it probably just feels like however long the time lapse ends up being, but it was really 2 days for me. But in those 2 days, I did manage to finish the beat sheet template. It is divided into 3 acts. Act 1 is divided into the opening image, theme stated, setup, catalyst, and debate. And then Act 2, if you guys are familiar with Save the Cat, because I'm pretty sure this is based off the Save the Cat beat sheet. And so Act 2 is just break into 2, B story, fun and games, which is personally, fun and games is probably the hardest part of the book to write for me, just because it truly feels like the middle and I have a hard time pushing through the middle. But yeah. And then there's the midpoint after fun and games, and then there's bad guys close in, all is lost, and dark night of the soul. And then Act 3 is break into 3, finale, and final image. So yeah, I went ahead and filled all those out in the point of view of my main character and my only point of view character in the whole story, Dominic Alter. While he is the only character with a point of view throughout the story, he is the main character, but like he's not the only character of importance, if that makes sense. Like obviously there's a cast, and it's a pretty large cast to what I'm used to, at least. Okay, so I know I said the cast was pretty large than what I'm used to, but now that I'm looking over this like short list of like all the main-ish characters, it's not that long. There's only okay, so there's about 10 characters who feature prominently throughout the story, so I guess it's a decent amount, but like it's not as many as I thought. But I'll go through them really quickly so you guys can just get a sense of what's going on. You've got Dominic Alter, our main character. The detective has a dark secret. His past haunts him. He's a master chess player. You've got Morgana Moody, kind of like his sidekick that he wants nothing to do with. He's a thief from the Knot, pretty much one of the toughest districts in the entire city. You've got Alicia Lysander, a bartender, and eventually becomes Dominic Alter's love interest. You've got Atticus Judge, Alter's young partner, who seems to not have been tainted by the dark energy that kind of just seems to permeate throughout Black River's streets. We've got Genevieve St. Thomas, a reporter for whatever newspaper operates out of Black River. Haven't come up with a name for it. I will eventually, just want to make sure it's the right name. I haven't started writing yet. I kind of do all these little world building things as I write, because ideas at least my best ideas come to me as I'm writing usually. We've got Police Commissioner Warren Reinhardt, comes from Seven Crowns, has been police commissioner for a long time, definitely has a bit of shadiness about him. We've got Mayor Richard Grimshaw, who has also been a mayor for a long time with Reinhardt. They kind of operate in like a partnership. They're very much in contact all the time. We've got Etienne Pope, the jaded district attorney. We've got Etienne Pope, the jaded district attorney from Old Town, a frequent ally of Dominic's. We've got Lena Carvajal. It takes place in the middle of the election of the new mayor, whether it's going to continue to be Grimshaw, who is kind of like the old regime. Everyone's kind of used to it, but like the city hasn't gotten better. If anything, it just keeps on getting worse. And then we've got, you know, Lena, who kind of throws her name into the hat. She's young, progressive, a woman, which Black River hasn't seen, and she actually wants to make change. And then we've got Jasper Blackwell, who is the leader of the Rooks, which is the main crime syndicate that kind of runs Black River from the underground. There's other crime groups that I've thought of, but like the Rooks kind of just like run everything. Everything goes through them. They push drugs, weapons, other stuff that I won't get into right now. But yeah, don't get on his bad side. That's something you definitely don't want to do, whether you're a cop or just a civilian. But yeah, these are pretty much all the characters that are going to be featuring prominently throughout the story. Just take a look at the names again. I guess you could just probably pause this part of the video, but yeah. Okay, so now that I have finished doing my plot beat sheet and I have showcased some of the characters that I'm going to be working with throughout most of this story, I'm going to actually head on out to a coffee shop near my house that I absolutely love. They make the best iced chai lattes. I always have trouble saying that for some reason, but that's my like favorite drink. I'm not much of a coffee drinker. I much prefer tea. It's been very hot in LA the last couple of days, so yeah, I think an iced chai would be perfect for today while I flesh out my characters more, try to get to know them better, because I have like their general backstories fleshed out for the most part, but like as far as like appearance and personalities, I don't really have that mapped out, so I think that's what I'm gonna try and get done today. So yeah. Okay, so it is now June 27th. I'm recording this the day after my visit to the coffee shop, which went pretty well. I haven't been there to just sit and write for a while because it's a pretty popular coffee place, so it's kind of hard to find a seat in there. You kind of have to fight your way in there, but I was able to get in and sit down for about an hour and finished fleshing out all my characters. They now exist in one large master list is what I call it. So I wrote about 3 small paragraphs per character and like gave them each 3 like adjectives to describe them to kind of just help me out when it comes to writing them, and I just need to quickly glance at their profile to make sure I'm characterizing them right. I got that done, and that was pretty much the last thing on my to-do list. But it wasn't the last thing, and the last thing on my to-do list was actually to set my official word count goal for NaNoWriMo, or Camp NaNoWriMo, I should say. And now this was a little tricky for me because on a good day, I can crank out about 3,000 words, which is equivalent to about 1 chapter for me. But since this is more of a noir, thriller, mystery story, which I did some research and those clock in at about 75 to 80k words. So, and I don't think I'm going to be able to write the whole thing in July, but I think I can get a decent amount, at least half. So I'm rambling, but eventually I settled on 1,200 words a day. I wanted to do 38,000 words, basically. 38,000 words for the month of July. And yeah, I think that's pretty reasonable. It's like almost 40,000, under 50 for my first time trying a challenge where I write every day in a long time, because I start writing, I take a break, I take another break, and then I get back to it. So it is going to be a good challenge for me to see if I can just keep to a schedule and meet my word count. Okay, so the last thing I wanted to do before I ended this vlog was to show 2 more pieces of inspiration I had for this project, Court of Rooks. I know I touched on it a little bit earlier in the video with the Batman and Seven being 2 of the more major pieces of inspiration, but I have 2 more things that I actually have physical copies of. And the first thing would be this Batman comic book, The Court of Owls. This run is actually one of the more popular Batman comics, at least in the modern era. See, it's the New 52. The Batman movie, the most recent one, is actually partly based on this, and it's kind of just about how there is a secret society filled with Gotham's elite who are just corrupting the city. Like, they're using their power, their money, their influence to, sow corruption throughout Gotham, which is something that I plan to heavily borrow for my own story. I'm obviously going to do it in my own way, but like, that idea was specifically, I thought of it after reading this. And then secondly is going to be Gideon the Ninth by Tasman Muir. This book is actually one of my favorite books that I've read recently. I don't read as much as I used to, which is kind of sad, but maybe this channel can actually get me to start reading more. So yeah, hopefully. Anyways, this book, it's a science fiction, queer, romance, dark comedy, horror. It's got a bunch of different things. But content-wise, this book probably won't show up much in my project, but it's really just the tone and the sarcasm and the dynamic between the two main characters, Gideon and Harrow, that I want to borrow from. Like, the 2 main characters, they start off hating each other, actually, like genuinely wanting to see each other die before they eventually, have a friendship by the end. Well, in this case of this book, it's not really a friendship by the end, it's a lot more than that. But in my case, I want my 2 main characters, Dominic and Morgana, to kind of start off as, not adversaries, but they really have a genuine dislike for each other, but they're forced to come together, and by the end of it, they develop a sense of respect and friendship between the 2. So yeah, those 2 things are just things I'm going to be referencing a lot alongside the Batman movie and Seven while I write this project, and I hope that I can differentiate myself from my influences while also, having a sense of familiarity, because readers like reading something that they've kind of seen before but also are able to find the uniqueness within it. That's what I hope to achieve when writing this project. And yeah, that will be the end of my week 0 Camp NaNoWriMo vlog. I hope you guys enjoyed watching and seeing my process and meeting this world and these characters, and I'm personally looking forward to showing this whole process and continuing to share my world with you. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe to my channel, drop a like, and if you're participating in Camp NaNoWriMo as well, let me know what project you're working on. I would love to hear about it. I've been LD Jones, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.